Welcome back to Grid Drop. Been kind of a while between videos on the channel, but we're finally back with some F122 MyTeam. If you haven't seen last episode, we were racing in Azerbaijan. Unfortunately, not really the best result. We did get saved by a late race safety car, but it just wasn't enough. The car did not really feel too good around that track, so hopefully we can turn that around for this race in Canada. As for upgrades, doing a major chassis upgrade right now. Hopefully that kind of puts us more towards the middle of the field. Doing also a powertrain upgrade that did fail last time, so we're finally getting that on the car. At least there's no chance of failure this time around. Also doing a durability upgrade. We haven't really focused any of our resource points into durability yet. I've been mostly focusing on just trying to make the car as fast as I can. Unfortunately, we're still quite slow, so I guess that plan isn't really working out too well. But as for facility upgrades, we're doing a powertrain upgrade. Definitely needed to spread some of the funds to the powertrain department. Haven't really done really anything besides aerodynamics and chassis upgrades for the department. So finally getting some money allocated to the powertrain, and here we are in Canada. Unfortunately, it's going to be a bit of an interesting weekend. All 3 practice sessions are raining, qualifying is raining, and the race is bright and sunny. So going to have to play with the setup a little bit. I'm thinking I'll probably do a dry setup for qualifying, and that way we can just, be flying in the race. So it's going to be interesting to see what the AI are going to do. You can see here, now on wet compound tires, so it's really coming down. The wet compound tires are unfortunately pretty bad. Having a really big moment on the curbs here, and that is us out of free practice 1. So obviously not really the end of the world there, but it is a little annoying. Here's a replay here. Just take way too much curb and just go right into a spin. Free practice 2 now. Finally on some dry compound tires. The softs feel really good. The car feels very balanced. Taking it easy on these first couple laps just to make sure I'm getting my setup right, because this is maybe one of the only chances I have to experiment with a dry setup. I'm making a little bit of contact with, who is that? Yuki Tsunoda, I believe, who came absolutely out of nowhere from behind us, and I guess was waving around in the braking zone a little bit. Threw the hand up, and hopefully he knows to stay away. We are showering Yuki Tsunoda in smoke, by the way. That is a little bit ridiculous. We have very worn engine components. You can see right here, the turbocharger is at 85%, the MGUH is almost at 80%. So similar strategy to Azerbaijan, where we're using very worn components in practice just to make sure we're saving our new components for the race. And it looks like Carlos Sainz is our next victim of being completely covered in smoke. We're going to get out of his way, pull into the pit lane, and change those new components just in time for qualifying. So here we are, our first lap in quali. This is my banker time. We're going to go ahead and set a 1:12.9. Not really ideal. Hopefully I would be in maybe the 1:11s. So this is our final push lap now. You can see 20 seconds left in the session, and just in time we're across the line and we are starting our final lap in qualifying. We've had some pretty good luck in the past getting out of Q1. Like I said, this is one of my favorite tracks. I do feel really, really comfortable around Canada. And the car does feel really balanced. A little bit of track limits right there, but the car feels pretty balanced. It feels good. I'm not really locking up like I was in Azerbaijan. I'm not really too sure what was causing that issue. I think it could have been either setup related or maybe a problem with my actual physical brake pedals. So not really too sure what was happening there, but the car feels a lot nicer now. We're up by about 6/10 heading into the hairpin onto the back straight now, 7/10. Hopefully shooting for around a second improvement. Unfortunately, not really too much time. I thought we'd be gaining a little bit more through here, and it looks like we're going to be improving by about 8 or 9 tenths across the line. We'll see where it puts us. 22nd place right now. We're really going to need a good time to improve, and we go P17. So unfortunately knocked out in qualifying 1. Like I said, we did have some good performances in qualifying so far this year, but unfortunately this just wasn't one of them. Luckily, this is a pretty good track for me. I'm pretty confident around here, so hopefully we can potentially score some points in the race.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. A fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday, and it's put him on pole. Sergio Perez lines up alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Sainz, Hamilton, Max Verstappen, and Norris. Fernando Alonso, Ricciardo, Ocon, and Pierre Gasly. Tsunoda, Magnussen, Valtteri Bottas, and Mick Schumacher. Russell, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Joe, Ali, and Oscar Piastri. Vettel, Stroll, Albon, and Nicholas Latifi. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today.
So here we are for race day. Just checking the race director right now, seeing the other tire strategies for our competitors. Looks like most people are doing mediums to hards or hards to mediums. The game is recommending a 2-stop strategy, soft, soft, medium, which I don't understand why, because the total race time is longer than just doing mediums to hards. So unfortunately not really too much of a change. Every single race this year has been mediums to hards, so not enough tire upgrades on this car to have any other strategy really be viable. But I'm hoping for potentially some points today. I am pretty confident around here. George Russell is at the back of the field, so that's at least maybe one less car on the points to worry about. He has a engine penalty, so hopefully if we overtake him on the first lap or second lap, sometime around there, we can kind of put him behind us and not really worry about him. But as for the rest of the field, fighting the Alfa Romeos, the Haas cars, and in the past we've had some pretty good battles with those teams, so hopefully that is a good omen for this race. If we can get some places off the start, I think that should put us in a pretty good position for points. So I'm hoping maybe P10, P9, P11, somewhere around there. We're usually consistently some place around those positions, so just got to hope for a good start, get off the line well, no wheel spin, and just send it down to turn 1, right up the inside, and hopefully get into the mix pretty soon. So obviously lap 1 and lap 2 are going to be our biggest allies in making up our way up the order. So we'll see what goes on with that. It's taking quite a while for the lights to come on. It looks like everyone is parked up, and now everyone is getting disqualified. So unfortunately getting the disqualification glitch here. Hopefully it all works out and no one is actually disqualified. We'll see when the race starts. The lights are coming on and it looks like everyone is still in the race, which is good. So the lights are on and we are racing in Canada. Kind of a weird start to this race, but pretty good start so far. Not really too much wheel spin. Oscar Piastri is side by side with us, our teammate, going up the inside of him, up the inside of Guan Yu Zhou, and potentially up the inside of George Russell, which now turns to the outside of turn 2, and it's going to be a drag race. We're 3 wide onto the small straight, heading into this kind of blind right-hand corkscrew of turn 3. It looks like we're going to stick it around the outside of George Russell, make a little bit of contact with Valtteri Bottas. He was a little earlier on the brakes than I thought he would be. But coming up around the outside, leading into turn 6, we're going around the outside of so many cars. Now at the inside of Fernando Alonso, taking a lot of curb there. And that is P9 secured. So we're making up tons of places. A huge snap of oversteer, make a little bit of contact with Alonso. And unfortunately, he grabs that place right back. You can see a replay here, taking a lot of curb. I don't know why everyone was going so slowly. Gave a little bit of contact with the front left of Fernando Alonso. And a little bit of a snap of oversteer puts us on the back foot. And now Pierre Gasly has taken that place back. And we're going to send it up the inside and take that place right back from Gasly. So quite the chaotic first lap. I'm not too sure why everyone was going so slowly on that run up to turn 6. I was able to just kind of dance around the outside of everyone. So maybe an incident or some type of damage from someone going quite slowly, but worked out for us. So P10, we're in the points. Definitely some potential to climb higher up the order. That's a really good start. A little bit of contact with Bottas, obviously a little bit of contact with Alonso, so hopefully that's no damage on our front wing. It doesn't feel like there's any damage as of right now, but we'll have to check in on that in a second. But starting lap 2 now, and that is 7 positions off the first lap, so definitely the dream start there. Unfortunately, a little bit on the back foot still, have to make up some time to this train of cars ahead, but definitely the dream start there. Unfortunately, made a little bit of a mistake into the hairpin on the end of that last lap there. I went a little too late on the brakes trying to make up time to Alonso. I locked up the front right, and unfortunately that has kind of put us on the back foot. Dumping ERS right now just to try to stick with these guys. DRS is going to be enabled next lap, so I really want to be in DRS range of these cars ahead. If we are in DRS, that'll really allow us to kind of stick with these guys and eventually maybe slingshot past a couple of them and use these medium compound tires to our advantage. So we do have a couple tire upgrades on the car now, so the longevity of the tires should be a little bit better. Realistically, we're not going to have the pace on paper to fight with the Alpines and the McLarens. Even the AlphaTauris are probably too quick for us at this stage, so we're definitely going to be on the back foot this race. Going to be definitely burning through the tires. So although we do have those upgrades fitted, I don't think those are really going to come into effect. Kind of a weird run through that little chicane there, and that's going to invite Pierre Gasly around the outside into the hairpin, and that move is pretty much done for him. Not really too much I could do to fight that. I was on the back foot, not too much traction. I've already dumped most of my battery just to try to get DRS, and unfortunately Gasly's going to have DRS. I'm not going to have DRS, and so I'm on the back foot yet again on the back straight. So Gasly is in a faster car, so we're going to have to see if we can stick with him. Obviously that's the goal. I want to try to stick as close to Pierre Gasly as I possibly can. Hopefully save up some of my battery and use DRS and just try to stick with him and have him sort of drag us along towards the pack ahead. But we're going to have to see. Obviously he's in a much faster car. Like I said, our car is, I think, second slowest out of the whole field right now. So it's going to be quite the challenge keeping up with even the AlphaTauris, but we're going to have to see how that ends up. Yellow flag at the end of Sector 1 here. We'll see what's going on up ahead. It's probably a mechanical failure, and it looks like one of the Alpines, Esteban Ocon, is out of the session with a mechanical DNF. So he's kind of getting the Fernando Alonso treatment. You can see a replay here, fighting side by side with Daniel Ricciardo in that McLaren. So unfortunately for Esteban, his race is over, but luckily for us, that means we are back in the points. So we were P11, that retirement gives us P10 now. Having a pretty big moment on the curbs right there, taking a little bit too much on the left wheels there, and kind of sends us into a bit of a spin. Unfortunately, you can see Pierre Gasly has sort of run away with this gap. He's now a second and a half ahead. I just don't have the pace to be fighting an AlphaTauri. They are much quicker than us. I'm going to try my best to keep Yuki Tsunoda behind. He's definitely giving us some pressure, going for a move around the outside into the hairpin, making more contact with Yuki Tsunoda, very similar to what we saw in Free Practice 2 here. That looks like we can squeeze him out just enough to have some safety on this straight, but he's going to have DRS, I'm not, so he's definitely going to be pressuring us into this last chicane here. Hopefully we can avoid any type of mistake hitting the wall of champions or anything like that. We're going to give him the outside here, stick it up the inside, and just keep our line nice and neat through that chicane, and luckily that's Yuki Tsunoda fended off for now, but we're going to have to see. He's looking very feisty. He's definitely a lot quicker. Valtteri Bottas and Kevin Magnussen are kind of scrapping behind him. And it looks like Bottas actually goes for a move and passes Yuki Tsunoda, presumably into turn 1. So now we have the Alfa Romeo behind. Hopefully he can hold up Tsunoda. I think the Alfa Romeo is a little bit slower on the performance index, so if he can hold up Yuki, that would be absolutely a treat for us, because we can focus on bringing this gap back down to Gasly ahead. But not if I'm driving this way, going way too wide through these corners, not really sticking to my lines. And unfortunately, that's just going to open the gap a lot more. So you see lap 8 now, gap is now 6.5 seconds to Pierre Gasly. So that ship has sailed, I believe. I don't think I'm going to be making up too much time to him anytime soon. Unfortunately, just still under pressure from Yuki and Tsunoda behind. Yuki and Bottas behind. You can see they're going side by side, kind of pressuring me into this final chicane here. It looks like Yuki can actually shape up for a move into turn 1, which I believe he's about to do. He's gaining a lot of time with DRS. He's flying up the inside. We're going to give him the inside, brake a little bit early, and try to switch back on him. Hopefully we can gain enough traction through the outside of turn 2. He goes a little bit too deep into turn 1, and that gives us the opportunity we need to stick it around the outside. Drag race now into turn 3. Hopefully we can squeeze him to the inside just enough, taking a very wide line through there, definitely exceeding track limits, but that's side-by-side racing, so no warning there. Luckily we could squeeze out Yuki just enough to keep this place, and now we gotta really hope we can keep trucking along. You can see the gap has opened massively to Pierre Gasly ahead. It's almost 10 seconds now coming into the hairpin on lap 10. So the stint with the medium tires is sort of coming to an end, but I really thought we could push on these tires and make up some time, but the tires feel like they're dying off a little bit. Gasly's super far ahead, and now we have Yuki Tsunoda to worry about on this main straight. It looks like he's going to have the overspeed to make potentially a move into the chicane. We're going to give him the inside, really squeeze him to the inside, and sort of do another switchback, and he goes over the sausage curbs, almost into the wall of champions, and now he's under pressure from Valtteri Bottas behind, so we can see a replay here. Really start squeezing him to the inside. I knew that was going to compromise his line, and he was going to go way too late on the brakes into the chicane, and luckily that just opens up a nice clean line for us to just squeeze on through. So you can see a replay from Yuki's perspective, going way too late on the brakes, hitting the sausage curbs, and we just fly by him. So luckily squeezing him to the inside was the right move in that situation, and we avoided losing our points position. But he is still going to be pressuring us behind though, so we got to make sure we don't have any mistakes. Valtteri Bottas did overtake Yuki Tsunoda. Yuki's about a second back. Valtteri is 6/10 back, so I'm sure that they're probably going to make up some of that time in this lap. But quite annoying, this race. I don't really like being in a position like this where I'm sort of running higher up than I should be. You know, obviously I like kind of being on the attack and being the aggressor in these situations, trying to go for dive bombs, overtake people, but unfortunately just don't have the pace to be doing that to the cars ahead. So going side by side, we're on lap 15 now, side by side with Valtteri Bottas through turn 1 and turn 2. These guys behind are getting pretty feisty, so gonna have to make sure we avoid any mistakes and just honestly just park the bus. I mean, we're in a points position. As long as we can maintain this position, have a good pit stop, and not let anyone else overtake us, we should be on track for points. Going a little bit wide, a little too late on the brakes there, but obviously not too detrimental to our race. But I think that's going to be the new strategy, is just park the bus and hopefully no one can pass us. So if we do have a good pit stop, I think the only person we're really going to have to worry about is George Russell. I'm not really too sure where he is exactly. He's probably just behind Yuki Tsunoda. You can see on the mini map there. I'm holding up a very large train of cars, so unfortunately don't really have the pace to you know, be attacking. A little bit of wheel spin off the exit of the hairpin onto the back straight now, and people are starting to pit. So I'm going to box this lap as well. Hopefully we have a normal pit stop. In the past we had a couple issues with the pit crew being quite slow, so we really need a good pit stop this time around to make sure that these guys stay behind us and we can keep these points, but we'll see. So coming into the pits now, Bottas right behind us, so we really need a good pit stop, but we'll see. Man, I'm pretty bad at this commentary stuff. I don't really know what to talk about. I want to leave this in too. Well, anyway, that was a good pit stop. Bottas is still behind. Not really too much to complain about there. Tires feel okay. They're not really, you know, like ice cubes like they normally are, so that's definitely a plus. The tires, hopefully they can, you know, last us towards the end of the stint. Obviously there's 20 laps to go on these hard compound tires. The tire upgrades should honestly come into effect now more than ever. You can see DRS has failed, and we also have some front wing damage, which I was not aware of. Maybe that explains my kind of wide lines through some of these corners. I didn't realize we had damage. That's probably from the incident with Fernando Alonso on lap 1, if I had to guess. I haven't really made any contact besides that, and we did hit his side pod kind of hard, so yeah, I was not really aware that I had front wing damage, but that probably explains a lot. You can see Valtteri Bottas taking advantage of that front wing damage, going for a move up the inside into the hairpin, and unfortunately we're not going to have DRS on this back straight. He's going to get the DRS, I believe, because he was in the detection zone first, so definitely going to have to use some of our battery here. He is shaking around like crazy, more and more contact with Bottas on the back straight. Not really too sure how I'm going to play this move. We're going to switch to the inside rather aggressively, late braking into the chicane, try to squeeze him out. He squeezed way out onto the sausage curbs, and that was kind of a dodgy move by me. I think that would probably warrant a penalty in real life. I was, you know, squeezing him out a little bit. That was his corner. He was ahead, and just was kind of driving like an asshole. But coming out of the pits is George Russell. So that's where he's been all race. He is finally out of the pit lane, and now we are going to have to worry about that Mercedes behind. Unfortunately, he's obviously going to be quite quick, and you can see he's already putting a lot of pressure on us. This is a couple laps later, and he's just sticking to us like glue. So really going to have to fight to keep this position. Hopefully we can grab DRS off him. He's going to go for a move up the inside into the hairpin, and we brake a little bit too early, and he just takes advantage of that. Even more contact with the car ahead, and that is definitely not good for the front wing. But onto the back straight now. It's going to look like I am going to get DRS this time. Actually, no, it's not. George Russell has DRS. That's one thing I hate about Canada, is the detection zone is so early. He was ahead for so long, and he's going to get a double DRS zone from the back straight onto the main straight, and that just kind of leaves us in the dust. So we can't really do anything about that. Obviously, he's in a Mercedes, much quicker. I've been dumping my ERS on the back straight. Unfortunately, it's just not going to be enough. So going to have to really try to stick with Russell. If we can, hopefully stick in DRS and just kind of ride the George Russell train towards the guys ahead. Unfortunately, they're really far ahead. Mick Schumacher is the closest guy in front. That's definitely track limits there. Mick Schumacher is the closest guy in front. He's on mediums. I believe he probably did a hard to medium strategy. So yeah, gonna have to catch up with him on a faster compound tire. Unfortunately, you can see here George Russell is completely gone. This is 3 laps later, and he's made up 7 seconds. So yeah, obviously much faster car. I probably could be driving a little bit quicker. We're getting a little bit of pressure from Kevin Magnussen behind. You can see going a little bit wide on the hairpin there. Definitely starting to feel the effects of the front wing damage. I feel like potentially there could be even more damage from that little bit of contact with Bottas and that little bit of contact with Russell as well. Unfortunately, at the P11 now, out of the points. Really got to stick with these guys if we want to score some points. So George Russell and Gasly are the 2 guys ahead. It looks like Schumacher did pit stop. He did pit. Oh man, I can't speak today. But yeah, Magnussen pressuring us behind, and we're going to have to see how that turns out. Really got to try to park the bus, I guess. I mean, I don't think we're going to have the pace to keep up with anyone in front. So unfortunately, it looks like P11 is the most we can salvage out of this race. Quite annoying. You know, obviously we were in P9 at one point at the very beginning and just didn't have the pace. Obviously, dude, I mean, going so wide through these corners. The lines are absolutely terrible, having really bad exits onto this straight as well, and that's going to invite Magnussen definitely to make a move around the outside into the chicane here. We're going to late brake, really late lunge, try to squeeze him out and stay within track limits this time, and luckily we can make that move work. But definitely getting some pressure from Magnussen behind. Luckily that move, squeezing him out, did open up the gap a little bit. It looks like Bottas has made a move as well, and those 2 are fighting side by side. So hopefully if they can keep that up, we can, you know, take some of the pressure off for a lap or 2 and just let them fight it out behind. We did do a good job of saving ERS. We're at maybe 50 or 60% ERS now, so going to save that up for when we need it. Obviously not really having too much luck with DRS, so I think we've only gotten DRS maybe once or twice off the back of George Russell, and that's been it for the entire race. So quite annoying that we're not having that to our advantage. But man, this is so boring. No wonder why people don't watch these videos. I don't know what to talk about. Huh. Well, this has been a pretty good lap, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, not really too much to talk about. I mean, Magnussen is pressuring us behind. Bottas is behind him. I'm holding up a huge train of cars. I just can't really do anything pace-wise. I mean, I don't really have too many options on the table. Magnussen's going in for a move. We're going to give him the inside, do a similar move to what we did with Yuki, do the switchback, let him go deep, and then we're going to try to grab this traction around the outside of turn 2. A little bit of wheel spin, almost some contact with Magnussen. Looking back, Bottas is right behind us as well. We're going to have to see how this move is going to work out. He pushes us wide, and we're doing a Sebastian Vettel onto the grass, cutting that corner, and luckily no warning or penalty there. He, I think, locked up into that corner. We're going to see a replay in a second, I believe, but I believe he locked up into that corner, kind of pushed us wide, and we had no choice but to go onto the grass. You can see slow-mo. He's going pretty much completely diagonal across that turn. He's not really turning in at all, and we had really no other option than just to cut the corner and just go to the grass. So, bit of a Sebastian Vettel move right there. Hopefully, you know, we don't get our first place taken away like he did. Luckily, we're not really fighting for anything at this point. Just meaningless places with no points attached to him. But Magnussen going for another move around the outside. We're going to give it to him this time, and similar move to last time around here. We're just going to late brake, lunge into that corner, and not really too much you can do about that. He's still quite close behind us, though, 2/10. We're going to go drive pretty defensively, keep the inside this time around, and squeeze him out, take a very wide line through this hairpin onto the back straight now. And now Valtteri Bottas is fighting him behind, so luckily that should open up a little bit of a gap to have, you know, a bit of a breather. But oh man, it's so annoying being in, you know, in a really slow car in a position that's higher than you should be driving, because, you know, I'm just constantly on the defense. I can't really have the pace to attack anyone in front. Obviously, the next car up is a Mercedes. There's no way I'm catching him, so I just gotta hope I can keep these guys behind, pretty much for no reason too. I mean, it's not for points, so it is quite frustrating. But you know, what can you do? I don't know. Lap 28 now, out of 35. It's been a good race, but unfortunately, just not really where I wanted to be. We had potential for points. Unfortunately, George Russell was just too quick. Especially on the DRS straight. There's no way I was going to keep him behind for the entire race, so quite annoying. I think the only person we realistically could have been racing that's ahead of us right now is Pierre Gasly, but obviously he had so much more pace than us. I think part of it is probably due to my driving. I am pretty comfortable around Canada. The car does feel really balanced. I'm not locking up. I'm not missing my braking points. I think I'm just, I don't know, I've been driving under pressure this entire race, so I think that's probably got, you know, something to do with it. But coming to the hairpin now on lap 28, 7 laps left to go in this race. Hopefully just trying to bring this to the end, avoid any mistakes, any crashes, and just keep these guys behind, make for some good racing, hopefully. Anyway, on to lap 31 of 35, so 4 laps remaining now. again, just trying to keep Magnussen behind, keep Bottas behind, just at least, you know, solidify P11, hopefully just get that result. I mean, obviously, you know, not in the points, but one place outside the points is not too bad for a back of the field car going so wide through there. And that mistake looks like it's going to open up a move potentially from Kevin Magnussen, who's going up the inside now. We're going to have to go very, very late on the brakes. Hopefully we can stick it around the outside of him. He locks up, forces us off the track. We have to cut across the track, and that is 2 times Kevin Magnussen has forced us off. Unfortunately, we have to give that position back to Kevin Magnussen, which allows Valtteri Bottas to go for a move up the inside. Very, very late lunge into the hairpin. A little bit of contact, a lot of contact with Kevin Magnussen. 3 wide on the exit of the hairpin, onto the back straight. Put the power down, hopefully avoid some wheel spin. And Kevin Magnussen is the big loser from this scenario. Both of us have DRS in front. Luckily, Kevin Magnussen is now behind us. Bottas is, I think, in a little bit slower of a car, so hopefully that can give us a little bit of breathing room. But I mean, it's just crazy. I just constantly, you know, every single corner I feel like someone's, you know, going for a dive bomb on me, and just constantly having to defend. Not really too sure why I had to give that place back to Kevin Magnussen. He was the one that locked up, forced me off the track, and looks like he's going for another move very late, comes out of nowhere into turn 1, almost a little bit of contact, luckily avoid that. Avoiding wheel spin, very careful on the throttle, and now we're on another drag race into turn 2. Hopefully we can squeeze him out, and we're definitely going to try to just close the door on Kevin Magnussen as soon as we can. Kind of a weird line he took through there. I don't know why he went so slow into that corner. I guess he got spooked that I was on his outside, but yeah, constantly under pressure. We're in a slow car, everyone else is faster, so, you know, that's the name of the game. But yeah, I'm not too sure why I had to give that place back to Magnussen on that last lap. That was kind of weird. He was the one that made the mistake. I had to cut the track, obviously, but I didn't really gain any time through doing that. So I don't know. That was kind of weird. But on to the final lap now. Charles Leclerc is the winner. Good for him. I hope he had a good race. My race has been mediocre at best, I'd say. We're driving, you know, well. It's just, unfortunately, we just don't have the pace to keep up with these guys in front. It's pretty ridiculous at this point. So just rounding the last, you know, couple corners, making sure we don't make any mistakes, you know, avoid warnings, avoid penalties, make sure we can keep Magnussen and Bottas behind. Last lap, usually the AI really dump the energy. They're very trigger happy with their ERS button. Luckily, I do have a little bit saved up, so it shouldn't be too bad. You can see right there, I got like about 30 or 40% saved up. Yeah, taking it easy into the hairpin onto the back straight. I don't think they're going to be close enough for a move. Magnussen is almost a second behind, so yeah, that's pretty much race over. Unfortunate that we didn't have the pace today to keep up with these guys in front. Obviously, George Russell was kind of I wasn't going to be able to keep up with the Mercedes, but it was a little disappointing. I couldn't keep up with Gasly. I was hoping I'd be fighting AlphaTauris. I believe in the past we were fighting AlphaTauris during some of the races, so it feels like our progress has backpedaled a little bit in terms of pace. A little bit of a close finish there with Magnussen, but oh man, kind of a couple stinkers in a row. Not really too much going on. We did have a really good result in Imola. That was, you know, quite a while ago. And P11 is where we finished today. Not great. Obviously made up 6 positions. Obviously that's a good result, but you know, just didn't feel good. I didn't really have the pace today. So Piastri finishes at the very bottom of the field as per usual. Gonna have to look into hiring a new teammate potentially at the midway point through the season. I really would like my teammate to start scoring points. Piastri is completely a liability at this point. Like, he is not even ever close to scoring points, and I've been on the fringe of points and have scored points twice now. So definitely potentially some new contract talks in the future. So if anyone made it this far, let me know what you think I should do for a teammate. I'm thinking maybe someone like Nico Rosberg. He is one of my favorite drivers, so I think that'd be pretty cool to have him on the team. He is going to be quite expensive, so I probably have to start saving up funds for a new teammate now. But I think Piastri might be getting fired. It's pretty bad. But kind of a boring race. But if you made it this far, thank you very much for watching. I'm going to start posting more regularly. Probably some Assetto Corsa in the future. So yeah, if you made it this far, thank you for watching. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.